it's all yours and you're the evening. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce to you Santos Bonacci, the only one and only.
Great. So, we've already warmed up to this by introducing each other, so it's just great. I just want to say welcome, and it's really great to have you. Nice small group, which is great. We didn't really have a big advertising run-up, so we realised that next time we're going to do it again. Naomi does these events, and with probably a couple of months of run-up. So, great, thank you for coming, because you bring the inspiration, and together the energy frequencies, as they say, where two or more are gathered in my name, there is my Holy Spirit. And the Holy Spirit is wisdom, energy, inspiration, clarity, consciousness. And that's what today's all about. Today is going to be a big day. Very intense in terms of content. It will be simple enough for a beginner to grasp. The more you've been involved with syncretism, the better it will be today, of course. So I want to ask a question before we start. How many people here know how I do my astrotheology presentations with the sine wave? Good, good, good. Sine wave is very important. You're going to learn about the sine wave today. Big. A lot of information and download on the sine wave. The energy wave. What about the torus field? I've done a lot on the torus field, the hyperbola and the torus field. Good. Yeah. So the torus field is very important. But it's no use speaking about the torus field if you don't speak of its counterpart, the hyperbola. So we're going to get to know that really well today. You'll find that it will change and transform your outlook forever. Just knowing about the hyperbola is going to be a real big one. As we warm up, I want to put a few words on the board that I want you to get familiar with so that you can navigate through the presentation a lot better, because beginners will have difficulty with that. And I want to start with a dot on the wall. Okay, anyway, it'll be a dot. It'll be a dot. There you go. That's it. And we're going to end up with the fundamentals for understanding astrology. Yeah. We'll have a break, question and answers at the end too. So hold your question and answers. I don't mind interaction. That's cool. It's just like helping me. You know, I always do find that all my presentations have got word slips. And I don't know I'm doing it. So if you know my work well when I do that, jump in. But if you've got questions, we'll look at those so, to bring more clarity to the subject. But yeah, it will finish with astrology and how to understand the chart. It looks like a lot of busy information, very technical and difficult. It's so easy. You're going to see it as a 24-hour clock, the astrological chart, because it is. And the whole thing turns clockwise, like a clock, a 24-hour clock, like the military clocks. And when you open your eyes and you see that, voila, you'll understand how the wave works and all fractals of every wave, the year, the day, the minute, the month, they are all fractally self-similar, So you'll find that in your life, all these experiences turn up in January, yeah? You know, like your computer breaks down a certain time every year. I had that for about 5 years running. April, Aries, my sign. You know, and I looked at the conjunctions and I saw why. But why are these patterns always recurring? It's because everything is in waves, and all the waves start at 0 degrees Aries and end at 29 degrees Pisces. So just think of that and know that astrology is the ultimate goal in syncretism, because it's the mother of all sciences. Astrology, when understood, the word etymologically is simply the word of God. That's what astrology means. In Sanskrit, astrology is called Jyotish. The science of light. Stars, astro, light. Logos, the word, the knowledge of, the speaking of, the science of. Light. And God is light. So we're going to electricity help differs from magnetism and what dielectricity is. Because these three are the trinity of all trinities. All trinities go back to dielectricity, magnetism, electricity. All the gods, Kronos, Rhea and Zeus, they are that. Neutron, proton, electron, they are that. They are all in their fields, when syncretized and integrated, the same thing. And you'll understand that. So we're going to learn about the atom, what the atom really is. It's a torus field. That's what atoms are. And you'll see how that, you will be able to understand that and explain that forevermore. So simply from today, if you haven't already, because it's in my presentations. So those who are familiar with the torus field, great. Those are the two things that we're going to be doing. The sine wave, which unfurls around the torus field, and they're one and the same. So a sine wave normally is considered to be positive and negative, two things. Okay? What you will learn today is no, there's much more to a sine wave. Okay? There's the wave amplitude point. So here's your wavelength, here's your wave amplitude. So you've got 4 points already. But astrology teaches, and all the ancient sciences, that there are actually 12 separate conditions, frequencies of energy along every ecliptic. It's not just positive and negative. If you get trapped in that simplicity, it's there. There is duality. There's all the numbers. The universe is number, Pythagoras. And letters. According to Kabbalah, the universe was made by letters. You will understand today how numbers and letters have created everything you see. Everything. Numbers represent quantities. Letters represent qualities. And this is how the universe is built, through numbers. And we'll explore all those numbers. And the fundamental numbers of the universe. And you'll be really, really acquainted with their role in creation. Very powerful. It's just numbers and letters. So, along the torus field, there is it's like the Ouroboros. The energy is going along like this, and the sine wave is is around here. So Aries would be starting here, and it would have 30 degrees of energy there. Its frequency is there and only there. And when we come to an understanding that all cycles, whether we have a 4-stroke engine or a 2-stroke engine or any kind of mechanical instrument, all of its cycles will have 12 separate conditions along that ecliptic. It's not just positive and negative, and that's what we're going to understand. There's a great scholar, Stan Tenen. I really have to plug his work. It's just so important when it comes to syncretism. He's a Hebrew scholar, Jewish scholar, and he's done wonders with the alphabet. And he has an apple, which is like the Torus field. He makes an apple because they are apples. They are apples of gold, golden eggs, cows, holy cows, because Torus means bull, cow. This field, this is an atom, okay? You will find that this is an atom. And this is the form of everything that exists. These are points of light, a little dot there in the center of that's just a point of light. It's all light and sound coming from counter space and making form, vibration. So Stan Tenen, with this apple, he breaks the apple up and he shows how along every segment of the apple in Torus field, there are 12 separate different conditions. And he shows and roots it in the Kabbalah. It's so very important. The video channel that will really enlighten you on that will be Dance of the Hebrew Letters. You want to watch that. And then as he opens the apple, he points to the disc he has here. And he says that is, in our theology, the flat earth. This is the tree of life in the Garden of Eden. And this is the dome, he calls this apple the dome above our head, the firmament, in which the stars are embedded, according to the Greeks. And the sun runs along the ecliptic, in that firmament, on the ecliptic. And we're going to learn about the ecliptic. That's the key. The ecliptic is the key. Why? Because if you want to know how the wave works better than anyone else, you need to know the ecliptic, because it's the best sine wave with the most information on it. And what is the ecliptic? It's part of the sun. You don't see the line in the sky yet, where the sun goes as it goes up the Tropic of Cancer, here in California, very high in the sky, we've just had our summer, and then it goes down to the Tropic of Capricorn, a little arc in winter. The sun's just little on Christmas, and that's to climb up the goat of Capricorn, that's to climb up the hill to the mountain of Cancer. And then summer comes again. So as you see the sun doing this, what is it, 47 degrees between the tropics going through the equator, you won't see any line in the firmament, in the sky. But where the sun goes, and only where the sun goes, that is the ecliptic. And that's what this sine wave is based on. This sine wave is based on the ecliptic. 4. Let's start afresh. Can we have paper towel? Those things don't work. A needle gel one to use is an equator, and in the North Pole there is always the Tropic of Cancer. It's always there, 23.5 degrees north of the equator, which divides the two hemispheres, north and south. Capricorn is always in the south. So what's with Cancer and Capricorn? Those are two astrological signs, aren't they? Yes, but they are two astronomical constellations as well, aren't they? Yeah? And so when you look at your your coordinates in the Skywatch, you have to punch in 3 hours right ascension of meridian and 60 degrees declination north to map out the constellations in the skies, right? So why is Cancer there? Well, simple. In June, when the sun is in physically, the sign of Cancer is behind the sun, which you cannot see because during the day the sun is too bright. But if you could see behind the sun the sign, you would see Cancer in June. Of course, if you know about precessional slippage, you'll know that they're lagging a little bit behind. So your astronomical software and your astrological software will always be different. Okay, so just bear that in mind. But it's there. So that's why it's the tropic of Cancer, because the sun is now in Cancer. And the astrologers know that there are 12 main sets of stars that when the sun is in them, they bring the various seasons, not 4 seasons. We've got 12 seasons. Yeah. So, when you find a good map and you find this, then you'll find this a sine wave going through from the equator. Usually it always starts here, and whether you're on a ball model, you'll see it go around like this, and by the time it goes back, it's done one wave, positive and negative. It's gone up to the top of Cancer and down to the top of Capricorn, regardless of the name. That is a year of a sine wave. Remember, they're all fractal, all sine waves. As the year's sine wave, when it begins on the 21st of March, every year, that is the point of departure of equilibrium. That is the true start of the year. It's always been known in all cultures. March the 21st, the equinox, the start of the year, the sacred year, because this is sacred. You see, when the sun hits this point, all of a sudden the stars of Aries turn up. Spring, then Torus, and everyone watches this. The farmers watch it because they know that's time to get the bull out and start planting. There's your blossom in spring. So the blossom is the symbol of the start of the year. You can't start it down here in Capricorn in the winter. Winter's dead. It's dead. Life. That's the start of the year. You see, but Rowan has got us starting at this solstice here, which is fine, but it's not the sacred year, it's the secular year. Doing commerce. That's what it's all about. Capricorn energy is practical, earth energy. Making money, succeeding. Fire, spiritual energy. The Lamb of God is Aries. It's the priest sign. So, and this is the sacred calendar. And this is the one we're going to learn about. And you have learned about in my astrotheological presentations. And why is this one the one we're going to do? Why don't we pick on any other sign wave? Well, here you've got every single 360 days of the year and all the festivals that happen along the ecliptic. When you go from culture to culture, you'll find that all the festivities, they're all the same. They're all the same. Every day, down to a day. The Greeks, if you're born on the 21st of March, you get a name. It might be Charalambos, which is a popular Greek name. I know it comes from Australia, there's a lot of Harrys, Charalambos. Here you'll get Yorgos, George, because of St. George. And their children are named according to the day, the saint of the day, the patron saint. And who are saints? Well, they're astrological angels, archetypes. It's all astrology. Even in theology. It's all astrology. It's all based on these 365 days that are all unique. Every single day has its own frequency. Not just the months, which we will learn about every single day, hour, minute, fractally, self-similar, up and down. Okay? And that's why we study this one, because we get to know the seasons of the year, and then we can turn this wave into the day and the night, easily transformable. And we'll do that before we go to the Torus field. This is how you do this. You make this the day and the night, day cycle and the year cycle. And why would you do that? Because they're the best cycles you know. You know how many years you've lived. You know how it feels to go through all the 4 seasons. You already have registered these energies. You're already programmed to understand what's coming. And you know the day. Right? You know how the day works. 6 o'clock, bang, east, Aries, the sun, that energy, you know. The ancients used to hail the sun every day without fail and put their palms up to the sun. Because the palms are where the magnetic energy gets flowing. Goes in this hand, goes out the other hand, and vice versa in the female. But as you put your, when you look at the sun, you stare at the sun, Helios, the healer. And what happens is it restores your holiness because it generates magnetic field, and we are magnetic. They say we are electrical. Oh yes, our bodies are electrical, but our spirit is magnetic. Magnetism is spiritual. As John Welski, a great magnetician and famous man for his work on magnetism, he says magnetism ain't physical. It's a spiritual force, and it's 10 billion times more powerful than electricity. So what are we doing on an electrical grid? We learn about free energy, magnetism, pulse energy, longitudinal wave, etc., and how it compares to the transverse wave, how superior it is. So, and the other thing John Nowelski says is that once we arrive at a knowledge of magnetism, in agreement with Sri Yukteswar in the Holy Science, a great Hindu scholar who said, called magnetism, divine magnetism, he said, when humanity comes back to the knowledge of magnetism, not electricity, then everything will be where it's supposed to be in the universe. Everything will be restored, all our consciousness. So we're going to be learning about the importance of magnetism and what it is. Here, these of course are the solstices. The longest day of the year is on June the 21st. Here you've got, today's the 21st of September, is it not? When is Judgment Day, the autumnal equinox, every year? 23rd. I usually put the 21st here, but sometimes you see my presentation, I just do the, because this is Judgment Day in the Jewish system. Bang. See? Virgo is over now, the harvest is finished. Everything's getting, cannabis growers here, you know, so it's, the buds all drying up. We'll have to get a I'm sure it's good.
Happy to see.
So we all know apples, Santos's beautiful sweet apple, it's right. That's Virgo, man. It's the harvest. So Libra, the 7th sign, is all about setting the scales of the harvest season, you know, calculating, weighing the figs, everything. And after the Virgo, by the way, the full moon in Virgo is always called the hunting moon, yeah? Yeah, because there's no food in winter, and you gotta go hunting. But when the full moon is in Pisces, it's called the harvest moon, right? Because it's the sun will be in Virgo. So we just had, did we have the harvest moon already?
14th, yeah.
This month?
Yeah.
There you go. always. The harvest moon. Harvest moon, sorry, because the full moon will be in Pisces. Remember, if I do this, that's Virgo. We're talking about these 2 months here, so vice versa. So in Pisces, when it's the full moon will be in Virgo, because it's opposite where the sun is, of course. And that's called the hunters. Hunter. You see how everything's based on this? There's no mistake, no? Here is the harvest season, here is the hunting season. And it's not necessarily hunting for animals, it's hunting for food. Because you can't plant it. But it's embedded in the sine wave. You see how now you are starting to understand the sine wave? All sine waves will do this. September. And sept means what? 7, doesn't it? But we call it 9, 9/11. It's the 9th month, right? What's going on there? Well, it's the 7th because it's astrological. So you always go back to astrology. Why is September called the 7th month? Well, because Libra is the 7th month. And it's always linked to astrology. Nothing is removed from astrology, you'll find. It's in everything. And here we have the other solstice, 21st of December. Sorry, it's not very clear. But so these are the equinoxes, 2 equinoxes, and these are the 2 solstices. It's very important to understand this in your knowledge of how waves work. Because here we have the unbalance, and the capricious goat down in Capricorn and the crabby crab of Cancer show you what happens when the wave goes out to wave amplitude. It's beautiful, it creates a beautiful form, but it's capricious. It's crabby. Energy is like that. Red shift, blue shift. Red is rage, blue is love. That's why your police signs are red and blue. When each other. Oh, we need to go through. Dichotomy that they run to basically just nullify you. So now, so that's the year, right? And I can fill in more information, but you can see where I'm going with that, right? Especially if you've seen my presentations. But how do you make that the day now? So we can get to that 24-hour clock. That's where you need to go. You need to know the day of this cycle and the year. And more, but those 2 are the fundamentals. So, it's easy. 6 a.m. 12 midday, just like your military clock. 6 p.m. 12 p.m. Oh, gee. Alright, I'll have to start running a lot better than this. It's the board's moving too. It's that thing. So, but I do write messy. Yeah. So you can see now that how the sine wave is working. This point here would represent daybreak. See? Where the sun comes over the eastern horizon and goes up to the top point there, midday there, and you see here then at 6 p.m. the sun is setting, and you come back around, and there's 12 a.m. So what you notice now is that the year is self-similar to the day, isn't it? They're the same thing. Think about it. Let's go dualistic. In the day, you have hot and cold polarities, right? In the year, well, you've virtually got 2 seasons, summer and winter, if you want to go simple. See? And that's where mankind has virtually remained in that understanding of this polarity. And it's really doing the heavy. Because you've got to understand that there's more going on. So Another feature of the day, besides hot and cold, is light and darkness. Does that go on in the year? Well, you do, yeah. You've got a lot of light in summer now. Virgo, it's beautiful. Very bright out there in San Francisco. But in 6 months' time, it's going to get a lot darker than that. So you see how the night and the year are the same? Now when you understand those two cycles, which are your favourite cycles already, now you're going to understand the energy of astrology. Because if you take the starting point of the day for Aries, the beginning of the astrological signs, you will understand the energy of that sign. Aries is the morning rising. That's how they are. That's why you find Arians are very exuberant. They're like little children. It's like the sun's just morning, we're going to have a picnic. And you're excited in the morning. That's Aries. It's excited. It's youthful. It's like the little lamb in the field. So you see from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. you got that energy. It's fire. Fire? How do you understand fire if you're not scientific and spiritual? Well, it's plasma. The 4 elements, fire, air, water and earth, are nothing other than plasma, gas, liquid and solid. The 4 states of the universe. So now you can understand that plasma energy, plasma is, well, it's in everything. That's the source of the physical world. Plasma, it's fire. And so that energy, now you can transfer that mentally to the sign of Aries. Now you come to 10 to 8, it's totally different. 8 to 10. It's totally different energy. 8 to 10 in the morning. It's much more secure. It's where you normally have breakfast. It's where you normally have a bit of a rest after all the excitement of waking up for 2 hours. Then Gemini comes along. Gemini is an air sign. This is very good for the mind, communicating, transacting, getting things done. It's very energized. You see your Geminian friends, they're very excitable. Geminis are a very excitable sign. It's exciting. Gets you to lunchtime. Then from the hours of midday to 2, Cancer. Cancer rules the stomach. It's lunchtime. And generally, in Europe, they shut the shop and rest. And motherly rest with Cancer. And then off to work at 2, Leo. Fire. You see? So that is how the day unfurls. But so does the year. It's the same thing. Spring. So we start at the start of the year now. And we remember the energies of the day, yeah? Well, spring. There's the blossom. The start of the year. The sun has impregnated the earth. And that's the symbol. And that's the sign that everything, the shoots start. I've been in Japan twice, in 2005 and 2006, on this day. And they call it Shibun no Hi. And they have celebration under the sakura. It's sakura season. And they're under the sakura trees. And they'll have cookies and wine, and they sit under the cherry trees, cherry blossom trees, sakura. And they have a public holiday on Shibun no Hi. Well, we have Easter. We also have Easter, pinned to the 21st. But everywhere in the world they celebrate the resurrection. Is the resurrection of something. What? It's the blossom. That's why Easter is always here at the start of the year. The sun is resurrected from the winter. You see? Spring, summer, autumn, winter. And this point here is so good, man. All around. I've travelled to in Ecuador. I went to Quito, to the Temple of the Sun, to the High Priest there, Cristobal, who rebuilt it. And basically everything in that temple, he showed me all the masonry. We actually filmed it, so that'll be out one day. But he showed us all the points in the masonry that had markers for these 4 days. Just for those 4 days. Everywhere, all the temples in the world, they're all marked for these 4 days. It's very, very important. And then, of course, your cross-quarter days. But we're going to keep it simple. We are just seeing now how, Aries brings the blossom, Taurus brings the growth and the earth sign, so the fruit starts growing. Gemini brings multiplicity and the warmth, where spring is now turning into summer. Cancer brings the moisture, tropical moisture. And Leo, the dog days, because the sun is conjunct Sirius. Sirius is the dog. And they say, the astrologers, that when the sun is in front of Sirius, there is more heat. There's a transference of magnetic pulse and energy between the two, and you have 3 weeks of the dog days. I arrived here, I think, on August the 11th in California. I'm pretty sure the dog days were late. It was hot. But usually, July, where Sirius is, in the Gemini, right there, Canis Major. So, but the sun is conjunct that, and it happens here in Leo. The roar of the lion, the heat to mature the fruit, and then Virgo, the virgins go out to gather the harvest. Then Libra, the wine. Am I going too fast? Good. The bread and the wine, symbols of the Passover. Remember Jesus with his 12 disciples? Yeah. Aries, first 3 spring, Aries, Taurus, Gemini. You see Gemini's got his hands up. It's telling you. Aries is here, Taurus is bottom of the head, and Gemini, the 3rd sign, is twins. So Leonardo da Vinci knows what he's doing. It's in the, you see, look at the disciples and you see, that's Aries, so you can tell. You see Aries at the head of the table, he's the only one at the head. He's got his hands on the head. That's Aries, I'm the starter. And then you get Leo, he's got his elbow on the table, which normally is rude. Just sit there on the table and you're eating with the elbow. But of course the arrogance of the lion, he's the boss. And you see that in Leonardo da Vinci's painting. And why is Jesus in the middle giving bread and wine? Because here, the equinox, this very important equinox that's coming in 2 days' time, is where the sun divides the year of 6 seasons and 12 seasons. And they all give you signs. All the disciples, they all give you signs that they're astrological, without fail. Here's a real easy one. To the left of Jesus, there's this beautiful female-looking disciple, apostle, with her arms widespread like this. It's like the scales of Libra, Venus, the ruler of Libra, and it's right there in the Last Supper, because this is the Last Supper. Well, blossom, fruit, ripening, water, harvest. That's the Last Supper. And the Jews, I've been speaking to a lot of, it's amazing how all of a sudden everyone's talking Jewish, and Hebrew, because we're around this season. All my friends, last night someone was at Shabbat, and next week they're talking about they're going doing Tishri, Yom Kippur, Rosh Hashanah, that being Judgment Day. See, because the Jews know, like the Christians know, Christmas, Easter, Yom Kippur. Why are they all bang, 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 bang? I've done presentations on this, on the holidays, the holy days, and showing how they all reflect the zodiacal sign in which they are. See? They all do. Every single one of them. That's why you have, here in Aries, Easter is called the Passover. Yeah, well, because the sun passes over into Aries, you see. So that's got to be the Passover season, right there.
But here, why is it called, that's the Passover, and here this is called Judgment Day? Well, normally what they do is they cull the herd here, don't they? Because only the fit will survive the winter. So those cows and sheep, they're being judged. Not worthy to, they're going to go into the freezer. The flesh-eating people. That's how it's been accustomed to a while, unfortunately, the animals. But it's judgment for them, isn't it? Right? What about judgment for the harvest season? You know, if you didn't get a good year, that day comes real hard. That's going to be a big judgment day. That's why the Jews, they know that's called Judgment Day, because they are astrological, as Christianity is, and Islam. It's all the same thing. So, I'll leave that there so I can build on that, and then we're going to pretty much explore the Torus field. But that is the Torus field, remember that. Okay? Good. So, there's the dot, and that is a point in counter space. And that's what humanity has not been able to meditate on enough to fathom. Our information to produce this whole vibratory world comes from nothing. Remember they said the Big Bang was from nothing. Right? Well, that's kind of true, but it's also very, very false, because there is no nothing. It comes from everything. In here is everything. That's a point that has everything. Let's liken it to a computer. Does a hard drive that is full of information weigh more than an empty hard drive? No. They're both the same weight. But this one's full of information. Now you've got an encyclopedia, you've got a terabyte of movies and information. This one's empty. They're the same weight. So can you open the hard drive and find the movie or your favourite picture? Can you imagine trying to do that? Get a hammer, smash it open. Where is that? I don't know. You know, like in Zoolander. Remember that one? It's not there. Yeah. These pretty little pictures. That's information that comes from out counter space. And where is it coming from? It's coming from the hard drive. And you know what? It's all just ones and zeros. Thanks, brother. Yeah. Alright, it's all ones and zeros in the computer, but you get all these beautiful pictures. So, there are 3 stages in getting this beautiful information on the screen. Let's imagine that this screen is the Earth. And your body, it's tangible. The Earth is tangible, the body is tangible, so the screen gives you something tangible. And you can touch it and you can see it, that's tangible. It's not conceptual, right? So the RAM is the delivery system from the file, which is in counter space, because you can't, like a doctor can't open your body and find that awful emotion that you've got trapped in your heart. Let's get it out with mechanical devices. It's not there, it's in counter space. Your emotions they're in your field, but they're not located in you. They're in counter space. Thoughts are as well. There's no, I don't have like 7 million thoughts in different files in my head. They're not locatable. The brain receives them from the field. And so this is what's going on here. See the scripture here? I've got 3 different versions. By faith we understand that the universe was formed at God's command, so that what is seen was not made of what is visible. Now I like this one, the English Standard Version. By faith we understand that the universe was created by the Word of God, so that what is seen was not made out of things that are visible.
So if you go to someone who's never seen a computer before, and you show them a picture of your friend, you know, your beautiful friend, they're going to look at that and where's that come from? Is she in the machine? No, well, she's not. And you'll have to try to find a way to explain that. So the spirit would be like the fire. Our spirit is in counter space. It's all in counter space. It's in heaven. It's not here in the physical world. And through torus fields, it projects into the physical world. And the spirit comes through with it. From here. Counter space. That's the fire. And then when the field, so you liken that to the field, to the what happens is, that's a point of energy and consciousness and light and sound. That's God. And the ram would be your soul. So you've got spirit, soul, and body. Yeah? So you've got the file, you've got the RAM of the computer, and you've got the screen. See, so when you turn your computer off, the file that you've just worked on and opened, that sleeps. Next day you reboot your computer, you work on it, and you've improved it. See, this is what the incarnation process is all about. We come out from an invisible seed, and our spirit comes into impregnation. We get conceived in the physical form, but it was invisible at the start. It was invisible. And that's where it came from. All the information was in the sperm, in the egg. So it was all there, all the DNA, everything was already there. How? Well, because it's the ram, the soul, is coming into incarnation. And that's the tangible physical world, your body. And if you liken it to the computer system, you see how it works. And how counter space, it's the only way I know, the best way for people to understand what counter space is, because it does your head in. How can everything come from nothing? Well, it's not nothing, it's everything. It's just not spatial.
Would that be the all?
Yeah, the all. It's like saying, you know, hang on man, this hard drive's not full, it's the same as weight as an empty one. It's not, it's got everything. It's all there. All the information is there. And that's what this is. And so when this expresses itself, it does something like this. As Ken Wheeler says, energy doesn't go point and then zips along like that. No, energy doesn't do that. It always goes point lines. He calls it point lines. So it goes like this. Always. From a point come two lines. Always. So what you have is one of those lines does this. It's blue. I should have done the redshift first, because redshift is always first. Science knows that red is the first colour, born from non-vibratory white light, which is magnetism. Then begins electricity, the wave. Redshift, blueshift. That's what electricity is. They call it electromagnetism. And then what happens is, there's an equal and opposite. Redshift, vortex, spiral. Walter Russell will call these two, the vortexes, two vortices. One and at the same time, the same thing is happening in the opposite direction. So there'll be red here, spiraling into compression here, and there'll be blue here, spiraling into compression here at this point. And this is what's going on in the universe. So this is the monad, the Godhead, that's God. The monad means one. Becomes now a dyad, a demiurge, a creator. Here is born the creator. These are the two gods, folks. There's this God, the source, and then there's this God, the creator, the force. There's the source
and the force.
And the force. I just posted a video about that yesterday on my YouTube channel, and I called it
the source, magnetism, and the force, in parentheses, electricity.
You can't have,
I know how it works.
you can't have the second without the first.
That's right. Force is what is making this world, this radiation. You see, redshift is right turning. Now, do you know what redshift, blueshift is, folks? Like, are you familiar with this? Yeah. It's in science, it's in everything. When it comes to stars, if a star is blue, they say it's coming toward you. It's blue shifted. It's the Doppler effect. And when the star's red, because from time to time, like Sirius, in history it says that once it was red, then it turned blue. There's this big thing about Sirius, the dog star, about it once being red. Clearly now it's blue. The brightest star in the sky, Sirius, is blue. It told me it's talking about a red Sirius 2,000 years ago. And this is what causes scientists to think they're moving, which they're not. But the stars, they say, when they're red, they are going away. You see? So this is how energy works. Red is a very long wave. And blue, very, very short wave. And when it comes to waves, smaller the wave, more capacitance, less capacitance. In the physical world, big suitcase, lots of gear. Small suitcase, only a few items. When it comes to light, it's different. So when you've got a blue laser, it is much, much more powerful than a red laser. And this will do a lot of damage. And then even the ultraviolets. Of course, if you go along the rainbow from red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, and you've got all those laser lights, those are the ones that are way, way more energy focused. Because laser light is coherent light. White light is not coherent. The atoms are not lining up white light. They're all like this. But laser light, every atom, every torus field is bang on. And what happens, when everything works together, it's multiplicative. Okay, if you get one stick, it's easy to break. But when you put 4 like a fasci, right, not only is it 4 times stronger, it's multiplicative, so it probably ends up being 16 times harder to break, not 4. And that's what happens with laser light. All the atoms, they're all coherent, bang on the poles. And this white light, it's incoherent. So we can see with this white light, because it makes it more diffused. But this is how the monad, a point of energy, consciousness, information, which is stillness, creates the vibratory world. This is a pulse, folks. That is pulsating. And this is vibrating. So what happens is this creates a radiation wave. And a radiation wave is different to a transverse wave, which vibrates. But this is how space is made. You see how now that is spatial? But it's also time.
This whiteboard's a little bit old, so it needs water.
Can you see what I see? It looks like an hourglass, doesn't it? That's the center. Of the torus field, folks. So, it's redshift, blueshift.
Why is it called a torus field?
Sorry?
Why is it called a torus field?
Well, because it's not a particle. It's a field spread out.
Why torus?
Good question. Really good question, and you're going to come to the answer right about it in probably the next 2 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah, good question. Tor. What you're going to find is that this is one of the most powerful words in all languages, Tor. These are the 3 words you need to look out for in understanding everything today. Atum, those are it. Once you learn these 3 words, you know what they are and how important those 3 words are, wow, you will have the key to understanding all things, because this is the key. This is the system for understanding all fields of knowledge: theology, astrology, alchemy. So, what is this? Well, the Egyptians said all is atom. The Greeks said all is atoms. Science tells you all is an atomic vibration. Your body's empty, it's just a vibration. It's totally empty. There's nothing there. It's just almost like an illusion. Like those pictures, you turn the computer off, they're gone. It's like it was here one day, gone the next. And that's how temporal we are. Very transient, very unstable humanity. Short lives. But these torus fields, they give you a torso. If I put my torso right here, you know that the top of the torso has a blue chakra and the bottom has a red chakra. So the torso torus field, it knows about this science somehow, doesn't it? So if this, which is the torus field, does red shift, blue shift, and my torso does the same thing, if my anatomy, made of atoms, that's an anatomy. They said all is atom because that is the atom. It is the atom. All is atoms. But atoms, the model we've been given of the neutron, proton, and electron, it's very unsatisfactory for going deeper. Because that's why we're here, aren't we? We want to know how to have knowledge in all fields. Why would you just want to be an expert in like one thing? Boring.
Okay. Now I was just going to say, looking at that, the center, that'd be the pulse, which would be the heartbeat, and then the waves would be the breath, the in and out, the negative and positive breath.
In the middle of Bruce.
And that's the whole, and then that's the center of the heart, so that would be the pulse, or the heartbeat. Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 petals. Green disc in the center of your torso, called the core, the curve, the cardiac, the curve, corazon, cuore in Italian. That's the apple core. These are the apples. This is what's going on. The third colour to come from red shift, blue shift. First is red always, immediately after is always its twin blue. Instantly, but red is always first. And even in theology, it's always first. Adam and Eve. Adam's red, Eve means blue. Jacob and Esau. Esau was red. That's what his name means. Esau was red. Jacob was blue. Moses, red. Aaron, blue. All the twins, Pollux and Castor, you look at them, they're red and blue. Or they say green and orange. But if you look at the beautiful colours of Gemini, the 2 twins, Pollux and Castor, most fascinating stars. They look almost, one looks orange and one looks green. But it's red shift, blue shift. Rest assured. That's what the twins are all about. And the third colour is always green. And green is an anagram for energy. 2 E's. There you go. Green energy. You hear that a lot, don't you? I mean the wrong way, sustainability, rubbish, New World Order. But this is the most important word, atom. I've done so many presentations in Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, English, and it all goes back to this word. It doesn't just work in English. Don't stumble on that thought. A lot of people do. And they come to me saying, oh yes, but this all great in English. But does it work in Italian? Yeah, it works in Italian. It works in Hebrew. I've put all kinds of languages into this, and it all goes back to these 3 words.
Vibrational, I guess.
Eventually, what you will see is all words ending in tor and bull. Creator, actor, realtor, able, capable, reliable, suitable. Why is tor and bull hanging off the end of all of our words? Anton, or this, words that end in shun, nation, congregation, that's Anton. Yeah? That's all the atom. It's all because of this hyperbola. I'm going to change that for now. I insist on bull there because it's the opposite of a torus, because these are really hyperbola. Okay. This is the torus field. Here, this is the torus. People always talk about this donut. You see? It's like a donut. And everybody's talking about the torus field. If you know the work of Ken Wheeler on his YouTube channel, Theoria Apotheosis, another great magnetician, he says you cannot speak of the torus field without speaking of its converse, the inverse of a sphere. This makes a sphere. Okay? It's a big bowl. Bowl. And the converse of a sphere is the hyperbola. So you see where time and space, this is the male phallic. This is the uterus. You see? So you see this is pertaining to masculine bowl, which turns into phallic. Foal, fowl. It's the same as bowl. When you understand the rule, the law of interchangeables. Letters are interchangeable. L and R are the most important interchangeables. With L and R, you have red is right turning, red shift. Please register this one. This one's so important. Blue is left turning, blue shift. And you see the word blue here and red. Right and left are embedded in red and blue.
Read it again.
They are one and the same. Right is red. All energy that turns right is red shift. It's all red. It's all radiating. All energy that is blue shift is left turning. It's all centripetal, convergent. Centrifugal, divergent. Red shift is centrifugal. It's diverging. The lines go out. They're not parallel and they don't go in, converging. They never meet. Okay? But the energy is pulled back around to converge again, because this is a black hole. Okay? It's a pointed white light, on the back of it is black light. White and light, black light, always together. That's why you have... We're going to be breaking at 12 or 12:30. Because I want to hit half an hour of question and answers. 12? How far is that?
Half an hour.
Oh, okay. Good. All right. So we've established that this is the atom, the tor is this, and the bowl is the hyperbola. Bowl has the same words as blue in it. It's right there. Make a note of that, and then you will navigate this system way better. You'll get to the end of it. Blue is left turning, L, left turning, compressing energy, converging. It brings the light back to source. That's why you go back to the black. You don't go back to the white. It's in the word, huh? Always look. You go back. Oh, shoot, I do that. Back to the black light, where there is no light. And white light is blanco. Blanco. Something that is blank is where you get your memory wiped. And you go to the white light, you come back. Black is where you go back. And that's it. You're going back. This is our stage now where we are converging with God. We're aligning our purpose with God's purpose. No apologies for using the word God. I've reclaimed that in all my presentations. I've always used it through there. It's not any way connected to church concept of God. It's the all that we are, as well as the individual. It's the divine. That's what God is, the divine. We still understand not what that means. We're far from that, but we are converging. We are at this stage. We saw the white light. White light is red. Blue light, black light is akin to blue. That's why Krishna is always black or blue. First he is black, Krishna is black, because Krishna means black light. And Radharani is white or golden, because that's radiating magnetism. Radha, Rani, the consort of Krishna, is white. Magnetism. See? Magnetism is the force. Dielectricity is the source.
That again?
Good, let's do that then. Remember at the start I said dielectricity? Magnetism, electricity. That's the trinity of all trinities. That is conscious energy. It's God. It's the Godhead. Krishna, Radharani, Balaram. The Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. The Father, the Mother, the Son. You name it, doesn't it? It's all that. That's all there is. Because dielectricity is the source. Black light. Everything goes back to the black light. Dielectricity is inertia. Rest. The feminine principle is explosive. It's magnetism. Mag in Sanskrit means to move. A woman. See, Eve put things in motion. And this is Adam and Eve. And I'll finish with that. Why? And then we'll continue. I'll do question and answers. We're going to be a bit late for lunch, unfortunately. Is that all right? No? 12 has to be 12? Oh, you're quarter of an hour. This is Adam and Eve. How so? Adam is the number 1. Eve, even numbers, is the number 2. All systems are about 1s and 2s, 0s and 1s. Atom means indivisible. In other words, it means a unit. You can't divide an atom. It's 1. It's a unit. Eve is even. All even numbers are feminine. All masculine numbers are masculine, are right. See? So, what you have here is pulses, numbers, and they create this waveform, which is now Eve, even, you see? And also, Adam denotes the I'll get back to that. So This is Adam's apple or Eve's apple. So in scripture you always hear about the apple that Eve ate. It's simply talking about the fact that when spirit comes into the world, the apple is the first symbol of incarnation because the body is an apple. The core is the heart. You see, we've already seen that it's redshift, blue shift. It's undeniable. Blue chakra, red chakra. The torso is aligned to this science atomically, and you have an anatomy. A torso, which is a Torus field. And then you have a thorax. Thor is tall. That's why you get all these words here. Look at all these words. Tor backwards means rotate, and red. Remember we said here, that's blue? Well, that's the German. Rot is red. It's in the word. You'll see it if you look, and you'll understand what's going on with these very two important twins. These are the twins of all creation. And it will give you these words. Talk. Story. This is a story. It's telling the story of his story. All that Torus kids. That's an orator, the word of God, which makes manifest the world from nothing. Our soul. Actor, creator, author, tutor, motor. Look at that word motor. I love this word. I mean, Tom and Tor. It's my favourite word because it's right there. It's a motor. Magnetism is in motion. Rotor, Astor, what's a star? It's a Torus field. Storm, once created by storms, as we will see later. All storms are Torus fields. You see a tornado? What is it? It's a hyperbola. And the ball of the hyperbola is on the ground. Grantor, inventor, mentor, contractor, restore, victor, and even this version, alter, even because D and T are interchangeable, you see? Elder. This is rooted in Torus fields, these words. It's everywhere. And there's another version, Thor, Tor, which is Jupiter. You see? Torus fields. Jupiter represents Torus fields. And Saturn represents the turning of the Torus fields. That's why Saturn turn. You see that? Because what does Elohim mean in the Bible? The gods are called the Elohim. Things twisters, tornadoes. The Elohim, God, according to the Jews, is a twisting wheel. It's turning. Can't keep still. Magnetism can't keep still. Everything is in motion. Everything is in flux. Then you have all these words, and we're going to finish with this. Picture, I'll get back to that. That's a winery where I'm staying in California called Barlow. Have a look at this. Just 10 minutes from where I'm staying. Look at the symbol there of the Lamb of God, Baal. It's clear as day, guys. This is just around the corner. Go past every day and I just laugh. I think what I know about Baal, Bull, Bol, and what the world doesn't know, it's so sad that they don't know. They missed out on all of this. Herbal, tribal, global, verbal, cannibal, gimbal, symbol, blaze, even this version. It's a blazing fire. It's there. Oval, naval, festival, carnival, revival. You've got the T version. They're interchangeable. Why all these words? Bull. Rubel, even Bel, the god. This is money. Rubel. Because these are little money cows, cash cows, not just holy cows. Why do we say holy cow? What about a holy horse? Because these are not horses. Well, they are. Yes, they are. Cabala comes from the Spanish word caballo. Caballo. In Italian, caballo. It's caballa. Because why? Because these are working horses. These golden eggs, these apples of Apollo. You see? And it's blood. You see how it all comes from the bowl? It's pulsing. So if that's pulsing, what does the doctor check when he wants to see if your heart's good? Your heart pulse. Yeah, it's the pulse. Well, see, it's a pulse. It's telling you. It's not flowing, it's pulsating. And so what we'll do when we get back is we're going to learn about this pulse and how it creates a radiation wave. So I'm going to put this here so I'll remember. And how that radiation wave is magnetism. Magnetism radiates, electricity vibrates. Magnetism is longitudinal, electricity is transverse. This is an inferior energy, but it creates time and space. Wave amplitude, space. All right, question and answers then. Okay.
It looks like the Holy Grail.
It is the Holy Grail.
Yes.
I've got pictures, we'll go through them. See, look at that, the tree. What's the tree? Look at the words. 3 is also here, 3. They're the same word, tree and 3. Tori, torunk, tor, because it's a torus field. The roots in the earth, this is Malkuth, this is Kitha. In every medium, whether it's fire, air, earth and water, you have tornadoes in the air, twister devils, that's bull, devil is diablo, diabolical. See, that's where the god Baal comes from. It's Baal, diabol. So you've got in fire, you have these twister devils. Is that what they're called? Devil twisters or what are these called? Whirlpool, there's bowl. Volcano. In every medium, it's hyperbolas. The sun, when you're looking at the sun, you're looking at the core, the bowl of its hyperbola. When I do sun gazing, I see the cross behind Christ. And then I see the torus field, and then I see all the 32 lines. I go from 4 to 8, 16, 32, 64. Your chessboard is too blurry. But you can see, if you stare at the sun every morning, I see 32 degrees of masonry. And it's in the sun. And people never look at the sun. It's like that, oh, there's the sun. It's like it's just not a part of their lives. It is the most important part of their life, especially to get up in the morning with your palms out at the sun and look at the sun. Learn how to do it first. Make sure the sun is low so it's not too hot and bright. I can just, any time of the day, I can just go bang, look at the sun and just revel in its glory. And it just makes your pineal gland hum, it just invigorates you, it energizes your brain. People are getting dementia in our sons because they're not looking at the sun. The sun is the savior. Sol is the sun's name. Sol is salt. And we are all magnesium, chlorine, sodium. That's all salt. Phosphate, potassium. Those are all salts. That's what you're made of. And the sol, the sun, is sal, which is salt, that gives you salud, salutations. You know, it's all in that word of saving. Salud comes from salt, and that's what's going on. And just finishing your question off there, what's that doing? Why is the Egyptians putting the sun, Baal, and the hourglass right between the wings of the winged disc of the sun? Because I see that every time I look at the sun, I see the hourglass. You just look at the sun, and there's the beautiful, what you'll see, the most amazing thing when you do soul gazing, and you start becoming a heliognostic. You know what another word for heliognostic is? Christian. We ought to be all good Christians. Heliognostics. How to know the sun? Look at the sun. All right, another question.
So, yeah, if L and R are blue and red, right?
Yes.
I have been so curious about, and I think you've talked about this a few times, but the way that letters are drawn out, does that have anything to do with, like, why is an R drawn out like an R, and why is an L drawn out like an L? Is there any symbolism behind how letters get started, and why they decided that if left is an L, it's number 2, right? Blue is 2 and red is 1.
Yep.
So that the L is 2 symbols, right? Like 1 and a 2, it's 2.
Yep.
But what about the R? How does the R symbolize 1 if there is meaning behind that?
Well, it doesn't necessarily represent 1. Okay,
Right.
you got to look at letters in gematria or gematria. They have a number value. Never forget the number value. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, R 18, L in all languages almost, Hebrew, I've done this in Hebrew, Greek, L is always 12. L is a circle, a cycle, an evolution. You see? L is love. Evolve backwards is love. And to evolve, you have to go through cycles. And that's what L represents, the 12ness of all cycles. That's why it's always the 12th letter. Lamed in Hebrew, lambda in Greek, L in English, etc. And R, 6 times 6 times 6, R, redshift, is the mark of the beast, the proton. Because the proton is making the beast. The electron is bringing the beast back home. Back to God, back to source, back to this counter space, after its history has improved its file. You see? So we get reincarnated. We've opened the computer file, now we're on the screen. Earth means theatre. When you are on Earth, well, there's the earth, and the heart is your theatre. So now you have a heart, you have a core, and this is your apple, your Apollo field. You have a magnetic field, right? You've eaten the apple, you're in the theatre of the earth. But then when you die, time, old man Kronos, old man time, tells you whatever comes born of me will die through me. That is the portal back to God. That's why Jesus says no one goes to the Father except through me. Because the Son is the Son. And you have to go back through the Son to get behind the Sun, the Empyrean, where we come from.
Empyrean?
Yeah, because the Sun's in the firmament. It's not in, beyond that is the crystalline sea, beyond that is the primum mobile, and the 11th sphere, according to the Neoplatonists, is the Empyrean. Here, fire, Empyrean. I think it's spelled like that. Please don't. That's the key. Fire of source, of cause. The sun is reflecting light from the sun, behind the sun, above the dome, from source. It's not the original source of light. It's the Ram. The sun is called Ram in Hindu. Why? It's called Ram. Because it is Ram. That's why they call it that in the computer. It's the delivery system. It's bringing consciousness from the file into your theatre. The sun is totally self-responsible for all of these vibrations. All of these vibrations you see here, in this world, the sun. Everything comes from the sun. It's the portal. That's why it's a holy. Whole is bowl. Bowl becomes whole. Okay? In Spanish, you say hola. To say hello. In English, we say hello, hell. But it's the same word. Bowl and whole are the same word. Because it is a wormhole. The sun's just a hole, it's not a ball, it doesn't fly, it's just a point of light moving across the torus field. And it's just a hole, it's whole. And that's what makes everything whole. Any more questions? Okay, one more.
Is there any validating to Chinese doing it? And
Absolutely.
If so, how does that tie to what?
Well, the Chinese signs will be based on Jupiter. Jupiter it's not solar. The Chinese astrology is more based on Jupiter. He has 12-year cycle, and so but those animals equate perfectly to.
Go into like detail, like the way you did with the zodiacs, with the astrology.
Well, when at the very end of
When you get a
the
chance.
yeah, what I'll do is I'll show you how all the Chinese signs actually fit perfectly over top tropical signs.
And
The one and the same.
And the minerals attached to it, like water, metal, wood. You know,
Yeah, well, you're talking about the 5 elements in Chinese are introducing the proper 5 elements, but we don't use the ether. The ether is the magnetic field, guys. Okay? Rest, motion, form. Everything is made by resting and moving, resting and moving.
You mentioned something about Elohim, that's in the Hebrew word, right, for that.
Which one?
Elohim,
Yes?
that be the Yahweh, Elohim.
Yes, it is. Jehovah is
The
different.
Trinity.
Jehovah is Yod, He, Vah, He, the 4 elements. That's what Jehovah means. That's the demiurge.
So-
Elohim is 7.
The Elohim would be the spirit, if you refer to the Trinity. Yahweh.
I would say, no, Elohim is the soul, not the
The soul.
spirit. The soul, because it's 7. The soul is 7-fold, 7 chakras.
Oh, okay.
Is it the soul is the body for the spirit. The body is the body, the physical body for the soul. The soul is the intermediary. This is soul. This is spirit, this is body. All trinities are here, guys. You go back to this always, and you will get to the very end of all knowledge. Dielectricity, Krishna, Radharani, Balaram. Once we get through this presentation, you'll have no doubt about it. That's how it is. So the more you take notes and pay attention to these very small details, this is all about paying attention. We don't have to be genius. Just pay attention. Everything's there. You know, we're just too busy not paying attention. I spend a lot of time reading books, meditating. You know? So I got the reward that I was looking for. I prayed for it. You know? I worked for it. I learned languages. I speak 8 languages. I learned music. I play 2 instruments, and I've been a professional musician all my life. I'm an autodidact. I didn't go to school for any of that. I was out of there even before I turned 15. I didn't want to be programmed. I wanted to have my own wisdom. So I left school and I went on Double Day Book Club, and I got all these historical books, filled my room up with books and studied. And I've been on this path since 81. I was just 20, even earlier, reading, you know.
So, if you're talking to a layman, just the average Joe, and you're trying, or a school teacher like my mom, she's a school teacher, so they're thinking in terms of like language and of course like Latin, right? Everything comes from Latin. And then you've got the Phoenicians, the phonemes, right?
Yep.
But how would you describe like where this language comes from? Like the source of this language, like where it got originated and how it got, the architecture was formed.
All is atum. This is a sound. Electricity, when arcs, you hear that. You can hear it doing that. That's how electricity works. It breaks away. This redshift, this is a noise, sound. And it makes, it depends on the atom and the element. It can be, it can be kr. Kr is a real good word, Krishna. The Krishnas say that the first sound is kr. So this is and that will be kr. But it's all sound. This is all sound. You can't hear the frequencies, guys. Our ears are so limited. When you go in the pool and you're in the water, how much can you hear? Someone speaking is like, and they're talking, because the waves get slowed down and you can't hear any water. Same with air. These ears are not for hearing spiritual things. That's why Jesus says, for those who have ears to hear and those with eyes to see, because we're not seeing. And why? Because they're giving us the wrong models.
Spiritual sound, spiritual vision.
That's it. Sound and vision. God is sound and vision.
You have the optics and the octaves, right? They're similar words.
Sound and vision. Deo, Dios. It's gold and God, visual God.
That's it.
Audio and video, and that's just God. Sonoluminescence. You gotta look at the words and pay attention. The rewards. This is one more.
Santos and the indigenous cultures, what we learned is not only by seeing and hearing, it's about feeling.
Feeling cancer. Yep. Beautiful. Thanks for that. 10-minute. Oh, what about lunch? Oh, okay. Sorry then. I didn't realise. It'll happen to me when it hits wave amplitude and has nothing but to go back to the other tropic. Cancer to Capricorn. All the time. That's the work of the wave. So, normally they'll tell you that this part, the black part of the yang, what do they say that is? Masculine or feminine? Yeah. And what do they say about the white? It's feminine, yeah? That would be the yin and that would be the yang, is that correct? Well, that's Krishna and that's Radharani. That's dielectricity and that's magnetism. That's how it works. And then the Korean flag has another version, which is it's got blue here. I think the blue will override. Okay, you look at the Korean flag here, and it's red and blue. And there's two yin and yangs. Well, the first one is the highest part of the Godhead. It's dielectricity and magnetism. They are separate, co-eternal principles, and they do not need electricity, the Son of God. They don't need it. Because everything in the dielectric magnetic world, black and white, it's all perfect. It's all complete. This is the world of transition, temporal world. See the hourglass? Temporal. Tempo is time, is Chronos, is Saturn. Saturn, the Grim Reaper. Time, old man time. Timmy. Timmy and Tommy. It's time. You see? Tempo means hold the tempo. If you don't hold the tempo, your band members will, it'll be a mess. So it's a temporal world based on time and these pulses. The red and blue, this is what they call electromagnetism. But I would say, well, it is electromagnetism, definitely. It's the right word. But it's hiding. You see, all right, let's see how we get from the black and white yin and yang to the red, the inferior. For me, the black and white is the source, the monad. Yeah, I was going to show these before. You see all the bulb? Yeah, doesn't that look like a Torus field? It's a Torus field. There's the bulb, the bulb. Yeah. So have a look at the Godhead. Oh, we're going to look at numbers, bulb, and letters, tor, in a minute. Let's have a look at there it is. It was already there. Numbers. This is the monad. See? Atum, that's all it means. One. It's the one. It's the monad. same word, atone, to make at one. When you make something at one, and you see atom is right there. The monad is backwards for Adam. You see, Adam is another way of saying atum. T and D are interchangeable, very important interchangeable. And so are M and N. See, T and D, they're always in the red. Because they are redshift words. P and B, these are blue shift words on the bold side. Yes, words are blue shift and red shift. Yeah, you just heard it. There are red shift words and there are blue shift words. And you can change the meaning of a word just by exercising red shift, blue shift. Whole. Someone who is whole is holy. But when you interchange R and L, now you have someone who is compromised. Yeah? See that red is rage. It always degrades the word. It's redshift. Rage, redshift. And you'll find this in English all the time. Balm, arms of peace, or arms of war. R and L are always interchangeable, red and blue, right and left. That's when you get the R and L in all languages. My second wife was Japanese, and her R's would be like an L. Really? Like a really? They would say, rather than really. It's not really. Okay, it's right there. It's in the east, it's in the west, it's everywhere. These are, because that's how the torus works. Why is R and L so special? Well, they're liquids. Let me do this roti R properly. Because speaking Italian and Spanish, you need to know this one. The English R does not serve the English-speaking people. But never mind, it's okay. They need to learn how to roll their R's. It's not a good day today. I only had 2 hours sleep. What's so special about the R is it's the only letter that pulsates. It's the pulsating letter. All the other liquids, they are all electrical, they are all feminine, and they are all closing, converging. You see? The other letters, that's why it's there. Adum and atum, because it's percussive. It's not a liquid. You can't prolong it, right? So you've got these liquids, and the R, which is 18, is a pulsating letter, whereas the L is flatlining. And you will hear this in electricity all the time. You'll hear the letters of the creation if you listen to electricity arcing. It's noise, it's sound, it's power, it's consciousness, everything is conscious.
Are these interchanging the words? Does it correlate with numerology too? Like, if you're going to name a company, right? And they say, well, you need to put this letter in or this extra thing to have the right package or whatever. Does it have the same thing? Does it have to do with this?
Rest assured, all those letters in their corporate logos, they've been Kabbalistically chosen, brother. You don't have numbers or letters, like Starbucks, Cafe, McDonald's. You don't mess around with this science. You get the right word embedded in your motto of your company, it will either succeed or fail. It's all astrological. If you have
that has to do with what you're talking about, like with these interchanging words, how that if you interchange things, it can change the whole dynamic, right?
Think of how letters are powerful. If you want to cool something that's hot, you do the letter F. And if you want to make something hot, the letter H. It's in the word. When you're meditating, when you breathe, do you just meditate, or do you do guttural, like breath, or from the back of the throat, aspiring kind of, or like. These are all letters. In the East, they say when you breathe and you do a breathe out, you are cooling the liver or whatever. When you do a, they've got 6 or 7 different letters that you breathe out when you're doing yoga, and they all adjust your organs. The letters are the frequency. So the letters are qualities, numbers are quantities. You can't hear a number. There's one thing in my hand. Can you hear it? No, but letters, well, they have to be heard. They can never be silent. There's only one silent letter. It's silence, isn't it? Full stop. Only if it's full stop. The period mark. You know? Because what's going on here is this is numbers and this is letters. Tors is letters. Rest assured. TER on the word letter is talk. That's how it works. You'll be absolutely totally convinced of it if you've done enough and you see all these slides that I have to confirm this. So what you'll find is that when you learn how the R makes, and not always, sometimes the R is the good one and the L is not the loving one. Sometimes the L converts the word badly. You know? Let me think of some other words that come to that.
Evil.
Hey?
Evil. Evil.
Evil and evil.
Eval.
Mm.
It has an L in the word evil.
Yeah.
Is that what you're talking about, or yeah?
No, I'm talking about the interchangeable of L and R.
Oh,
And
okay.
that changes, goes from good word to bad word, like whore and whole.
Yeah.
When you look at words from now on in the letter
Got it.
R, and it's a spot there for the L, you'll see how it flips its polarity.
Got it.
Because words are redshift, blueshift, and so are letters. L is blueshift. But then it will act as redshift. Remember, the red and blue yin and yang, they're just a copy of the blue and black. They're doing the same thing, manifesting, but in a vibratory way, in a transverse way. That's all that is. Polarity. That's why you have red pill, blue pill. Republicans are red, Democrats are blue. Right? Roses are red, violets are blue. Red blood, blue blood. The red siren, blue siren. Cold water, hot water tap. You know, it's why. And why is it not green and purple? Because it doesn't express polarity. The rainbow tells you one end's red, the other end's the blue colours. Everything in nature is shifted either red or blue, and all the space in between is the manifest world.
So yeah, black and white in Portuguese is branco e preto. There's the L and R.
Yeah, blanco e preto. It's right there, guys. It works in all the languages. So this, they say, is electromagnetism, this polarity, but really it's electricity, because electricity vibrates. To know the difference between radiation and vibration is the key. Magnetism only radiates. It vibrates when the transverse comes along. The transverse then it joins to it. It's the mother joining to the sun in the Trinity. Because remember, the first part of the Trinity of the Godhead is always dielectricity. Never put that down here. This is the order that will get you more penetration into this science. You have to remember this Trinity. It's so important.
What does dielectricity
Rest,
mean?
motion, form.
What does dielectricity mean?
Dielectricity, well, it's rest, inertia. It's the opposite of electricity, motion. You know, it's diametrically opposed.
Okay.
Dia, via. You know, it's
The resting state.
yeah.
So it's before the electricity. The
Yeah,
electricity.
It's non-electricity.
Okay, so it's
It's
before the
source of
magnetism.
it.
Before
Yeah.
the magnetism makes
But
sense.
is it all?
Yeah, this is the field. This is all the field of ether. This is the field has 3 field modalities, according to Ken Wheeler. The field. Because there are no particles. Walter Russell, there ain't no particles. It's all different frequencies. Gold is different to hydrogen in frequency. That's it.
I have a question. What would that Trinity relate to in regards to Pluto, Neptune, and Uranus?
Yeah, it's right there. That's
Which
Pluto is dielectric.
Okay.
Neptune would be the soul or water, and the firmament is the body. The firmament. Yeah? It's in everything. You won't escape it.
Yeah.
So, magnetism. When you get a pool of water that's still, and you throw a pebble in the water, you are now getting a radial radiation along the surface, which is longitudinal. It's not transverse. That wave is always going this way, and it's always getting bigger. It can't diminish. Magnetism is magnitude, according to Ken Wheeler. Same word, magnitude. Magnetism is space, same word. Dielectricity is time. This is the time, remember, time, space. This is the temporospatial vehicle through which everything manifests. There's nothing other than this. This is God, this is Baal, the obelisk, Bel. Bel is beautiful. That's another reason. Proto-Celtic word Bala. Bala means apple. Bala means apple. I've heard Bala. There you go. Proto-Celtic. Persian. Bala means divine. Bala Krishna is always called Baal Krishna. Christ is also Christo Bal. So hang on a minute. Let's see now. Christopher Columbus, yeah? Many Spanish people are called Christopher, like this. Christo Bala. Now, Krishna is Bala, divine, Krishna. You think they're one and the same? How does Baal get in both names? And then Jesus is called Yeshua, and Krishna is Ishwara. Ishwara Parama Krishna. Ishwara is Yeshua. It's all the same stuff, guys. This is Krishna, Christ. Christ is light.
Yeshua's equal, right?
Yeah. So, video and audio, God, sonoluminescence. This is vibration sound. The black and white yin and yang is transcendental sound. Here we are having mundane experiences. Where we come from, we have transcendental experiences. Here we eat physical, tangible food. There we eat transcendental food. You see this when the Chinese people give oranges and fruit on the little altar to their gods. They do this every day. But you look the next day, the orange is still there, and you think, well, why are they wasting their apples? They don't eat the ancestors do not eat the physical form. They eat the energy, the magnetism, the torus field of the orange. Then you see the next day, you see the orange is all shrunken because the entities eat the fruit. It's transcendental food. That's where we're going. Here we eat, have sex, sleep. It's all material. It's all slowed down in time. There, it's all at once. And it's transcendental. You eat, you have activity there. Unlike what the Buddhists say that you go back to the mill, to the void. Well, I guess some people do go there, but if you go back to Vrindavan or Vaikuntha or even Brahmajyoti, that's all activity. So we'll never not be doing anything. We'll always be in motion. We'll always be magnetic, magic, magnificent, magnanimous. This goes on and on. So the higher Godhead is a monad, and then it becomes a dyad. See how the letter B in bold is the second letter? Because it denotes polarity. But both. Beth in Hebrew. Stan Tenen says Beth is just another way of saying both in English, because it's the second letter. See how gematria is important? The dyad. Now we have the demiurge. This is the source. This is the creator. You see? Adam, when Eve comes into the garden, even numbers divide. She's the divider. She divided the whole world. In that sense, she's polarized on the evil. Then when she's our beautiful mother Eve, well, she's a doubler. You see, only there, here, between 1 and 3, only here does doubling occur in all the numbers to infinity. Only here, from Adam, odd numbers, to even numbers, Eve. And remember, numerologically, this is Adam and Eve. But in astrotheology and in science and chemistry and physics, it's the pulse and the wave. Duality is in the wave. There is no duality here. This is one, and it just grows and grows. And as this wave, radiation wave, propagates through any one of the mediums, fire, air, earth, and water, it will encounter resistance. It has to. And that's where your polarity comes from. Because as this wave goes out, the water, on the top of the water, you'll see waves going like this, won't you? And they get smaller and smaller like the ocean waves, and then here's the beach, and then they stop. But here the waves, you see the transverse wave, it's a beautiful wave, very sexy, but it's inferior to this magnitude wave, which is radiation, the radiation wave, the pulse. Because it has a decay factor built into it. That's why when you're in San Francisco listening to your favourite station, and then you start driving out to Sacramento, after a few minutes, as you start getting out in the burbs, crackling. Why does the radio start crackling? You can't hear it anymore when you're in the country. Because the transverse wave, radio waves, decay. But they know that they can use the longitudinal wave, a la Tesla, and you can have radio heard from one place all around the Earth on the longitudinal wave. Because they know that it's interconnected and it's 10 billion times more powerful than electricity, according to Faraday and Maxwell. So, quoting John Nowelski, whom I quoted earlier, who says magnetism is divine, spiritual energy, and electricity is purely physical. It's physical force. Vibrates. And so this is the part of this is called electricity, redshift, blueshift. All the waves are doing that, they're flattening, but this and diminishing. So that's inferior. So and that shows that redshift, blueshift is inferior to black and white, which are non-vibratory. See, the Virgin is always white. Mary the Virgin. Mary Magdalene. Because the vibratory wave is polluted. It's got good and evil in it. So it's dirty. It's inferior. In all the cosmologies and all the theologies, including Gnostic Christianity, that's what it says. It says that. That this world is like, I think the Gnostic Christians call it like an abortion. That's how bad and demented they think the demiurge is. Some people will not, alter their position on that. This world is just evil and that's that. You've got to get out of here. But there are others who are more in the middle and more balanced and realise that there's good flowing as well through. And it's just the dichotomy of this physical world and the experiences we must go through. So, and the heart, the heart, do you ever say when you meet someone nice and warm, do you ever say to them, or to someone, I met someone whose heart was so warm it was vibrating? You don't, do you? You say, what, radiating? Oh, they were radiating. Just that person was radiating. You never say they were vibrating. See, the heart radiates. The mind and the liver create waves. The mind, thought waves. That's noise. And toxic liver with too many emotions. Oh, be wrong with me, and you carry those, they're demons, as their emotion forms. Those waves, the more you recall your pain and anguish, and the more you create an entity. Those waveforms, they stay with you. Entities, it's very important to know about entities, because you create them, they're self-created as well. You enable them. And how you do that is by going over wrong thinking and negative emotions all the time. So it works. And so this would be, in the red shift, blue shift world. So now you understand how this is the most important form to understand virtually everything. If this is the atom, which it is, then if all is atom and self-similar fractal universe, then we can see what's going on. This is the shape. And always in between, in the middle here, there's always what's called the block wall, the plane of inertia. That's where Stan Tenen put his flat Earth in our solar system. This is the solar system. And how they had the system was, this was the flat Earth. The Hindus have 7 similar disk planets below, and these are all cushioned. The Greeks said that the Earth is floating on air. Others said it was water. There was always an argument, air or water. But you know how you can suspend magnetic things? They're showing a lot of this on YouTube now. You can suspend things in the air magnetically. What do they call it? Anti-gravity. Well, that's basically, that's what the Earth magnets do. So this is all magnetic. That's why people who can't conceive of the Earth being like a plane of inertia, which it is. That's the Earth in our system, even according to Hebrew scholars. But I would have Moon, Mercury, Venus, Sun, Mars, Jupiter, Saturn, the 7 planets below the firmament, and then beyond that. You see, this is like a cell. This is the cell membrane. Our solar system has a Van Allen belt. This is the Van Allen belt, if you like. They know that the ozone, they know that when they shoot pulse beams and laser beams into the ionosphere, they know they're talking about this. The firmament. It's only like about, it's a field of magnetism, it's only like about 60 miles above our head, and no rocket has ever penetrated it. So it's that powerful. No rocket has ever penetrated. The astronauts are coming forward now admitting that now. But people don't pick up. Even if they hear it, it doesn't. They're running a different program, guys. Here, you have to awaken. It's the red pill. You have to awaken. You will not go back to cause unawakened. You shall never. Ignorance is the only sin. Ignorance is the only sin. There's no other sin.
Can you define sin?
Awakening is our salvation. People talk a lot about spirituality, but I reckon it's consciousness. You have to be conscious of all things. You have to know things. And this is how you get knowledge. There's no other way to ultimate knowledge other than this. There's only one system, because it's how intelligence and consciousness propagates itself to make this dream real in the universe.
It's like the holistic expression of everything.
Yeah. Dream. Rhea, the goddess, the Dia. She is also Maya, the god of the goddess. We talk about the Mayan illusion. So Rhea gives you the dream, the illusion, but she also gives you reality. What is real? Rhea, our mother, magnetism. She makes the real world. She helps us to react. I've got a whole presentation on this called The Root of All Knowledge. The root of all knowledge. It's about 4 different segments, and you'll see how Rhea, look at the word creator. Chronos, Rhea, and Tor. Another one of those Tor words. That's Chronos, Rhea, and Tor, the Godhead. It doesn't just turn in, that's not men doing this. They're instantly going, yeah, what if we put, this will be tricky, we'll make, this word have another meaning. It's already been done.
The Phoenicians did that.
And the Romans with Etruscan. So, and they turned it into Latin, what have you, but they were all there. It came from the first emanation. It's already embedded in the universe. Your form, physical, right now, it's the blueprint of it is in outer space. The DNA comes out called DNA, invisible DNA, and then you grow your torso torus field according to that DNA. DNA. Adam. Genes. Adam. DNA. And then another way of doing is nut. Alright, so we've got all mixed up here, right? So the DNA is Adam in Latin. Andros, the man, giving you Andrew, manly, who has a hand. The hand is the symbol of the human. Both mind and hand are always, mano is also mind. They have the same root, hand and mind. And we are denoted, or we are differentiated from all other creatures from our marvelous hand, which is able to artistically, we can play the guitar, we can paint things. Our hand is actually transforming the mind. So it defines human. Handros, handy, Andy. You reckon someone made that up? No. It's just astrological. It just happens. No one chooses it. We just experience it. Your name, your name is astrological. Santo, I was called Santos Bonacci. Santo means saint, means the sun. The sun exalts in Aries. I'm Aries. Sun, Santo. All your names. You tell me all your names, I'll show you how it's absolutely perfectly lined up with your sun and your moon sign and your ascendant. It all lines up. Done this many, many times. Just did a chart reading with a lady, and her name was Monica. So what's her sun sign? It's a no-brainer. Guess her star sign? Her name was Monica. Monique. Cancer, the moon. She was Cancerian. This always happens. I see these things.
Santos.
All right.
Santos, does your last name have anything to do with Fibonacci?
Yeah, Leonardo Bonacci was called Fibonacci.
So Phi.
Son of Fibonacci. His father was.
Now, don't you think you're leaving out one word, which is the Phi?
The Phi ratio? No, that's in there too.
Got it.
That's all in here.
Yeah.
Everything grows out.
Like the Phi cycle.
Yeah, the 137.5 ratio.
Yeah, because like Phi Eve, a lot of the words have Phi in it.
Yeah.
Even Phoenicians.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The Fibonacci ratio, well, it's called the golden ratio. I usually just call it the golden section, or the golden ratio. This is all in golden ratio. Look, see, 1.618.
Now, would that be the material realm that
Yes.
pulls us in?
Yeah. So you will always find that this red shift is always a bigger. This is a smaller one. This blue shift is small. This opening, this is like a pear shape. It's like an egg. It's never perfectly a ball. It's not perfect. A sphere. It's egg shaped. It's just like your torso is the same. You have Fibonacci ratio all throughout your body. Yeah, there is it in my hand. So nada in Spanish is the nil, nothing. But in Hebrew, it's sound. DNA, Adam, the hand, and the man, and Yandy, another. You see how important the liquid and dirt or ter, because this can also be a T, remember? How important these percussive words work with liquid words. Remember the L and R, those are the two most important liquids. L is called, the R is called the rhotic liquid, and the L is the, dang. Anyway, but this is how electricity works. Positive is those are the two sounds that create all the universe. That's redshift, blueshift right there, guys. Familiarise yourself with that. You'll be meditating down the forest and then you do, because the R will give the liquid pulses, then the L will flatline, and you need the R. The R is the only letter that does this. You have to roll your R's. Even when you sing in the Seth Riggs method, which I did for about 3 years, I learned of a guy, an opera singer who came to California to be taught by the greatest, Seth Riggs, right, in voice singing. You know, the exercises that I learned, you to get up into head voice, you why? Because if you just try and sing it, a lot of people never learn how to sing and get into head voice because they get there not by this process of chopping, putting a pulse in the voice. And what's the other way? There's the there's two ways, but one of them is that by rolling the R's, and many of the greatest singers do this, you know, because it puts a little gap and it keeps the voice vocal cords from locking. So this is what some singers experience as a problem with singing, is that they can't reach the high notes. They can, but they can't because they don't jump up to it properly in their vocal cords a lot. So that's how important this letter R is. It's all about sound now, and it enables you to get into the head voice, which is the head register, which is also creates an awakening. Singing, chanting. There's two ways of chanting. There's kirtan, which is singing. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So that's sung. But then there's the Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare, and it's chanting. Both methods. Why is it so important? Because you're creating. You see, when you talk, doesn't that sound like? Doesn't talk sound like talk? Yeah, because it's the same thing. You're creating torsion field when you speak. So when you sing with intent to a certain God, you're energizing yourself with that energy. That's why you say these 32 syllables, 16 words. Hare Krishna, Hare, and each one has an R in it. Hare Krishna, Hare Rama. Why is the Maha Mantra the greatest mantra that you can utter to reach Vrindavan? Because every word has an R in it 16 times. Because that's Radharani. That's that radiating, pulsating energy, magnetism. The letter R, 666, pretty much sums up the force of magnetism. 666 is the mark of the beast, because when redshift occurs, it creates the beast. It creates a mon star. And from a mon star, moon star, because you see, you can't incarnate past the moon if you don't got the goods. You have to have the spiritual currency. That's why Jesus says, buy gold from me, so you will be saved. Because when I came to America, I had 400 Australian dollars, couldn't use it, wrong currency. So I had to change it. Should have done it at the airport, or should have. But yeah, it's hard to change it. So when you die and you haven't done work where you've improved your file in counter space, well, you go back there and you won't go back there. You'll have to stay, you know, incarnating, and until you become a master. But it's all about being a star. See, we came from the stars, didn't we? How do we know? Because there's the star. At the start, you always start with the stars. And then you become a sister, a youngster, but you're always a star. You'll always be a star. And that's the star in you. Alvin Boyd Kuhn says, Christianity fails to realize that the Christ atom, which is one single atom, which is a solar sun in your body, is the Christ in you. There's one atom in the heart. It's the center of the heart. And that atom is part of an octahedron. I think it's 8 original atoms. When you first started, you're one. The egg and the sperm became one. Then you, with mitosis, it's called when it becomes 2, and then 4, and then 8. Those 8 are in your heart. And that is the Christ within. It's a sun in us. We're all illuminating bodies. The moon has her own light. The sun has its own light. You have your own light. You just cannot see it. We're all light bodies. That's the light. That's why when you make your torso holy and whole, you won't have holes in it, where the entities come in. And Jesus said, if someone gets a demon exercised, and then they don't clean their house and keep it clean, well, that demon goes off and gets 7 more demons, more evil, and then go back and return to the house that hasn't been transformed, or in other words, the individual, and it's worse for them again. And that's because they latch onto your field. You want to protect your field. See? When you go to church, they tell you, oh, you mustn't associate with bad people. Well, Plato said if you hang around with a genius, just so much as be in their presence, you will get their consciousness. If you hang around with alcoholics and, people who are degenerate, you have to get their energy. You can't escape it. You will be polluted and defiled. This has to be pure. The path of purity is the way of salvation. So, there's many paths around and theologies in the world, but they all come from this, and they all are denoting to become pure. Pure, P-U-R. Remember, P and B are interchangeable, and R and L. It's always go back to the ball. And pure comes from purge, pyro, to purify with fire. So what are we doing? Are we doing more questions, or is it time? Okay, so let me either continue on with this. I was going to continue on, and if there's a question, just bring it out. So it's very important to understand this. There's the Trinity God, okay? And that's the triad. And so you get all these words from this. To try, from a Torus field. Tribus, a tribe, and tribute. These are all from that base of this, the triad. And then the tetrad or the quadrad, I don't know whether there's such a word as quadrad, but it's tetrad, and tetra is 4. Yeah. And that's the 4 elements, you see. These are the 3 field modalities. This is duality, and this is source, magnetism, Oh yeah, sorry.
That's where they get the pyramid from, right?
Well, it is.
Definitely.
And it's very, very important. I do have another, sorry, I'm gonna have to, I'll fix that, I'll just gotta go through my presentation.
Oh, okay.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this for the
They
camera.
also use by within this structure.
No, we don't want that. We want bang.
That's like the whole, the fall is down. Because if you take, you know, all it is pride, mag,
I've got 500 slides in this presentation, guys,
pride, maga,
which
and male.
is comprehensive and exhaustive, and it proves that this is what it is. And guess what? Power now. All right. In my computer case, which is in the car, which is probably a time to not do that and just do some questions. So, because when we get back again, we're going to develop this a lot more, because there's only two things to develop. There's the sine wave and the torus field. And those give you all the answers from me. And what we're going to do is show you how all information is here. And then this wheel here, the natural yearly cycle, is going to just transform into an astrological chart. And that's why astrology is a science. It's based on this way. See, astrology deals in degrees, seconds, and minutes of arc. That's science. It's not hocus pocus and guesswork. The Egyptians had full, exhaustive explanations of every degree of the ecliptic and what they would bring to the life of the individual. And that's what we're going to get to. This is a very, very clearly accurate science. Right, we'll have a break and go and have lunch. Over the road, there's a great Mexican place. I had a burrito there yesterday. Alright, good stuff. Nice. Oh yeah, let's leave it there. Because this will be on film, and I've got so many unreleased presentations and slides that it's like it's a tome. T-O-M-E, a tome. What I've done really right now is like a tome, you know. There's so much. And that's part of it. Pollux and Castor, right? Can you see Bull and Tor, the bull and the Torus? Yeah. And one's blue and one's red, yeah? Yeah. So polarized light, lux is divine light. Lux, luxury. Lumen, the moon, the light of the moon, or cloud de la lune, is mundane light. Vibration, pulse, radiation. This is divine light. This is what all the philosophers are aspiring to, the lux. Okay? So, what happens is, polarized light is what pollux means, and pole is bold, remember? It's a blue shift word. So, bold, Baal, the god Baal, he's obviously this phallic, you see? The phallic is the pole. And Tor is supposedly the brother who is mortal. Pollux is the divine one who saves his brother Castor, because Castor means to cast out of the Torus field. You see? So, one of these are brothers. This is Cain and Abel. Cain is red. That's what it means. Cain, red. And Abel is, well, isn't that the word that we're talking about? Bull. Abel. So you can see Cain and Abel too. See, Cain killed his brother. They're killing each other. You know, Esau tried to kill Jacob. You know, because you see, Cain is the midday sun, and Abel is the dark sun of the night, and they kill each other. That's one way of. This is very basic.
Are they twins?
Yeah, they're always twins. And you can see, so Castor was cast down, and Pollux is polarizing the light, you see. So what you've got here is they are the twins, the bull and the tor. So that's how you get these words that end in all of this, you see. And then you see all of these are all similar, all of these twins. Interesting, atoms. Atom means a unit simply because of the letter A in front of Tom, because Tom means twin. Thomas, it means twin. There's no other meaning that I've ever seen in etymology for Thomas.
That's where they get the word by bull. Is that two bulls?
Exactly, two bulls.
Yeah.
The Old Testament, the New Testament.
Yeah.
Papal bulls.
Yeah. So it's all related.
Congressional bills. Bill is bull.
So you can
Because
interchange
the
all the
bull-
vowels. Yeah.
Yeah. You know when you speak in hyperbole, well that's hyperbola. Because ballistic is hyperbole in Greek is the word we say hyperbola. And it means to thrust, to overly exaggerate, to express. That's why you get rockets that are ballistic. And when you speak bull, you're speaking hyperbole, which is the hyperbola. This is the singing bell. Ding, ding, ding. This is the bell. This is the noise. This is sound.
The expansion of sound.
It's all this.
Yeah.
These units of light are called atoms. All these atoms. So the A in front of Tom is called a privative or privative. I don't know which.
And that's the alpha.
I didn't go to school, so I didn't check the dictionary where the accent is, but I call it a privative. It privates the word of its real meaning, like Gnostic, agnostic,
Got it.
theist, atheist.
So it's pre.
So atom means not a twin, it's a unity. So the word has twin and unity in it. It is, the atom is the monad and the dyad and the trinity, because it is a neutron. I present to you the neutron, guys. Welcome to the neutron. If you want to know what a neutron, the neutron is, it's the plane of inertia. It's here. It's this thing. And then pro and L. Pro and L. Fission, fusion. Divergence, convergence. Centrifugal, centripetal. Ouroboros. Bore is ball. So the serpent eating its tail is this. It's the sine wave, the sin of Eve. Eve means wave. Remember I said that's Adam and this is Eve, the wave, you see, because Eve is what makes the sexy curves on the woman and well, not that the man isn't sexy, but it's about sexuality. That's the phallic and that's the uterus. This is male and female. This is how the world gets that archetypal energy to be those polarities. Pollux. It's all about what? Video. So let's get back to the more in depth with the monad and the dyad. So that's the monad, guys. See Nad? Dan. Remember DNA? The tribe of Dan, the lost tribe of Dan? It's us. We're all the lost tribe of Dan. Dan. Brother?
Good question. The neutron, does that correspond to the center point of the natal chart as well?
The line that goes horizontal on all birth charts, natal charts, that is called the line of the earth. Pay attention because that's from the ascendant to the descendant. That line is called either the line of truth or the line of the earth, according to Firmicus Maternus of the 4th century. I've always kept that in mind because I see that that is where the stationary earth is in the chart. When you're reading astrology, you don't see, oh, there's your moon sign, where's your earth sign? Okay? Well, it's the rising sun, because that line never shifts. If you use an unequal house system, variable house system, all the other cusps, all the other houses, they're moving. The MC goes like this, right? Depending on which sign is rising, either from Cancer or Capricorn, the MC will be either over here or over there. But this line here, that's the only first house and the 7th house cusp doesn't move. It's the Earth. Okay, that is the neutron. The neutron is it's the void. Okay, so there's always energy coming back into that, but it always loops back out, equal and opposite, simultaneously, redshift and blue shift. That's why, as Walter Russell says, there's no such thing as an electron per se. There's no such thing as phosons and all of these things. He was laughing back 50 years ago. All of this, that is ridiculous. It's all this frequency. The vibration comes from this and the pulse. This is doing everything.
That's the universe.
That's how our solar system is, really on this plane. The plane of inertia is the planet of Earth.
But we're also inside of a universe type toroid.
In every system, which is a cell, which is a solar system, like the cells in your body, it's like this. The tree of life is running this phallic bol, arbol, in Spanish is tree. In Latin, arbor, B-O-R, so you see the R and L are interchangeable. From Italian, arbol, arbol to arbol. In Spanish, it's the tree, and that tree is your spinal column. The tree of life is in your body, 33 degrees. And that's why you have a lumbar. Those 5 bones here, just below the 12 thoracic, 4 being Tor, Jupiter, or Jupiter Zeus with his 12 disciples, they are the 12 degrees of the discs of the thoracic, and then above that is the cervix, the 7, and the 33rd is the 7th. That's the cervix, means heaven. 12 is your Hercules labors through the heart, and your thoracic, Torus field cage. 12 ribs on each side. There's always Arthur is 12, King Arthur is 12 knights. Yeah? Well, the lumbar, what does lumbar mean? See this tree here? Yeah? It's tree.
Spine.
Lum, bar, and it comes from bol. And so in every system, in every cell, in every atom, there is this tree. You see, it's this vortex. See, the North Pole is here in the Earth. And blue shift is there. That's why it's warmer than the South Pole. The South Pole is around here, around the Earth. If you look at Stan Tennant's video, The Dance of the Alphabet, the Hebrew scholar, he shows you it's right there. This is the tree of life, and that would be the South Pole. Very, very cold, where redshift is happening. Blue shift is compression, therefore it's warm. Loving light. See?
Wouldn't the compression be in the center, and then the expansion would be on both ends of the?
They're going both ways simultaneously, but there is one.
But in opposite order, like so, one's going this way, and then the other one's going the opposite.
Equal and opposite all the time.
Yeah. So it's like a battery.
It's always true. It's never one thing. Remember, you can't go 0.1. You go.
But it is one unit though, of 2.
This is the smallest unit, like the hydrogen atom.
Yeah.
Even smaller.
So.
It's way smaller. And the universe. This is the universe.
Yeah. Okay. It's one and the same.
All the ancient.
And we're just in the middle.
You see always a tree of life. You always see the hellish planets down below, where redshift is. This is your sacral torso, right? The perineum. You see, and you see that's. And then going up, you see, so the colours of hell, what are they? All associated with yellow, orange, and red. You see, and you look at the numbers of the petals. Pay attention to the numbers. There's 4 petals here, of course. Of course, your bottom chakra has 4 petals. Foundation. Chair has 4 legs. That's why you meditate on your bottom. You know, and you cross your legs because you want that tree of life grounded into the plane of inertia. You want it grounded on this plane, the plane of inertia, the plane of earth. You know, terra firma. Terra is Torah. Torus field. Of course, because the Torus fields makes terra firma. It's the same word. Tor is in everything. Turbulence, Taurus bull, terrible, Taurus bull. It's in all our words, guys. You can't escape it now. You'll be seeing it everywhere. You'll see it everywhere. And this is a derivation of atum, all is atum, the D version. So, and they all teach this tree. You see, this is the Yggdrasil of the Nordics. You see, and Thor is responsible always for chopping down the tree or whatever, or saving humanity, falling, getting hung, getting crucified. Well, it's Jupiter Zeus, Jesus, or Thor, the Taurus field. The Taurus field has always been stored out, like Pollux and Castor. So the polarity is always flipped, as George Carey writes in The Salts of Salvation, because that's where I'm headed for health and how salt is all about. It's all about salts. Magnesium, your body's magnesium, sodium, etc. Those are salts. You are a pillar of salt. So he says Pollux is good on the one side because it's Pollux. He's divine, of course, but then if he flips over polarity, he's polluted. Because light, lumen, in mundane light, it's because it vibrates and it's a transverse wave, a resistance wave, it's inferior. In theology, it's considered, dirty, unclean, and to be cleansed, and to be purified, to return to the pulse, the heart. The heart radiates. So that's why they go and say, stay in the heart. That's where the bliss is. Bliss. Boom. B-I-L. So, Yggdrasil tree, I forgot where I was going. Yeah, 4. So that's 4, and he always has 12 followers. Always 12. Why? Because energy is expressed along this ecliptic, along this wave, not in duality, it's in 12 different conditions. And this is where we're headed with astrology. In astrology we have 4 elements: fire, air, earth and water. And that is plasma, gas, liquid and solid. Those are the interchangeables. Then we have 3 ways of those 4 elements expressing themselves. They are called modes. And they are cardinal, fixed and mutable. So let's discuss those so that we can understand how all energy waves are 12s. In nature, everything is born, grows and dies. That's cardinal, fixed, mutable. Simple. So how is water cardinal, fixed and mutable? Well, you could say when it's ice, it's in one condition. When it's liquid, it's in another. When it's gas, it's in another. I would say the gas vapor would be mutable. But here's a good way of understanding the difference between cardinal, fixed and mutable. If you've got a fire hose, the pressure of the water is very condensed and it's very strong. It's explosive. You put your finger in there and it's powerful. Okay, that would be cardinal. Cardinal in Latin means hinge, a cardine. So it's a hinge, it's a door opener. So all the cardinal points, like we discussed, the 4 tropical points of the year, that's Aries is a cardinal sign. Okay? Cancer is a cardinal sign. Libra, cardinal. Capricorn, cardinal, because equinox, solstice, they open the seasons. Right now, in 2 days' time, we're going to hit this point, the holy equinox, We are going to go into Libra cardinal autumn. It opens the door to the season. Autumn starts, the fall. See, the sun is to fall down to be crucified in the winter. Inferno, inverno. Infierno, invierno in Spanish. The other one was Italian. So, fixed, cardinal, fixed, mutable, cardinal, fixed, mutable, cardinal, fixed, mutable, cardinal, fixed, mutable. A fixed sign is something that has fixability. It's firm. The season is established. Here in Taurus, spring, strong. It's the rule. It's fixed. Gemini, mutable, because it's changing. It's getting hot. Gemini, as Bonacci, the 12th century astrologer, says, Gemini, the twins, come to double the heat for Cancer. So it mutates. The season is muted. This is a mutable sign. Cancer, fixed, of course, cardinal, because these are door openers, the cards, the 4 cards. And the cardinals are the most explosive. Remember that 5? Fixed would be where the water is nice and cohesively together, but more expanded and more natural. Here it's compressed. It's not natural. You know, so the Aries people like myself, Librans, you see them